What actually pushes Nigerians out of Nigeria is bad governance.
Yeah, welcome on this edition of Naval TV Live. My name is Chidi Peters. With me in the studio is Austin Omilo, driving straight to Sudan. It's no news that Sudan has been besieged with war in a couple of weeks, forcing international communities to shut down their embassies and evacuate their nationals from the country following the war that's raging between the two generals over who controls the country. Beginning from Khartoum in Sudan, Nigerians and Nigerian government decided to also follow suit by evacuating Nigerians from the war in Sudan, but not without some little controversies. In the beginning, Nigerian government said that they were going to evacuate Nigerians from Sudan by road, hiring 40 buses at the cost of 13.1 million naira per bus. Following criticisms and outrage, the government decided to change its mind and send aircraft, including NAV, airplane, Evacuees, and EMAs to Egypt, from where Nigerians have been evacuated. So far, the few Nigerians have evacuated, while we have thousands of Nigerians stranded in Egypt and Chad borders, waiting for Nigerian government to come to their aid. Will the aid come quickly? We don't know. But what is more important is those who have arrived in Nigeria, what for them in Nigeria? Because they must have lost a lot of things. Those who are studying there, they also must have lost some academic lines or curriculum. But notwithstanding, the NUC Executive Secretary assured them that the Nigerian University will ameliorate their suffering and offer them an exchange program in Nigeria. How far would that go? If you are solving the problem of students who are studying in Sudan before now, what about those who are doing business or who are making living in Sudan that are back home? Any hope for them? Any palliative for them? We don't know. This also brings me to a topic of what's for Nigerian evacuees from Sudan. We need to discuss that. It's Austin Omilo. Austin, we have Nigerians arriving on daily basis or, as the case may be, by airlifting. That means the issue of traveling by road has been jettisoned. What do you think about these people? Where are they going to start from? The NUC Executive Secretary said those who are studying are going to be doing some research and be re-enrolled into Nigerian universities. What about those who are doing business or who have handwork in Sudan and they are undisplaced? They are back in Nigeria. What for them?
You see, let me even begin by saying what I told Noble Arinze in one of our episodes. If you are watching us and what we are saying makes sense to you, the best thing to do is to also share. Because why we are doing what we are doing is to ensure that the Nigerian project works. Now, having said that, when we talk about what is happening in Sudan and what the federal government is doing or what they are paid to do, we are saying these things to ensure that we do the right things at the right time for the right reason and for the people to learn. To date, we have only succeeded in evacuating about 2,500 and something Nigerians from Sudan. This is a far cry from the 5,500 persons we were expecting. Now, but notwithstanding, if these people that were evacuated now come to Nigeria, what is the provision that the Nigerian government is making for them? For those of them that are students, some persons are saying, okay, you ensure that they continue their education in Nigeria here. Very fantastic reasoning pattern. But what was their qualifications that made them get admission into Sudanese universities? Because in Nigeria, you have to have 5 credits, including English and mathematics, for some courses. Now, if you went to Sudan with a 1 credit, and now you are back from Sudan, war in Sudan is not a requirement for admission in Nigerian university. Now, if you are talking of reabsorbing students from Sudan, You'll also be talking about reabsorbing Nigerian business people, traders from Sudan, because if they have to be integrated into the system, you also look at the possibility of the government giving them what it takes to actually become also relevant in the society. Now, if you are talking of rehabilitating the students, you should also think of rehabilitating business people, traders who were in Sudan or who are still in Sudan. And in an attempt to solve that problem, you want to find out from them what took them away from Nigeria for Sudan. Because even if you want to give them millions of dollars now, pounds or naira, for them to start business in Nigeria, if you don't resolve the problem of what took Nigerians away from Nigeria for Sudan of all places, they will still settle here momentarily. Then when the chips are down, they will still go back to Sudan, because the war in Sudan now is coming to, gradually. Now I don't know whether it's coming to an end, but with the intervention of the UNO and all these Arab nations coming into the matter, trying to settle the whatever it is between the two generals, the war may come to an end very soon. So if you give them palliatives that do not even resolve the problem of what took them away from Nigeria to Sudan, they will they take the palliatives and still wait for the time to come, and they will go back to Sudan. So we must look at all these things together. But meanwhile, out of 5,500 persons that we were told that are stranded in Sudan, only 2,500 and something have been evacuated. Now, that tells you that Nigerian government is slow, because the fact that there's a ceasefire now does not mean that the ceasefire is going to end for river. There is need for Nigerians to, or Nigerian government to be proactive enough to bring back all Nigerians that are stranded in Sudan, and also diplomatically ensure that the properties of Nigerians in Sudan are intact while they are in Nigeria now, so that after the war they can go back and say, okay, this was my shop, let me see what is still in there, even if it means going there to sell off whatever you had in the shop and come back to Nigeria. But at least there must be a diplomatic negotiation to ensure that the Nigerian properties in Sudan will still be intact.
A quick one, a report says that some Nigerians have left Sudan to borders in Egypt, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and some also have fled through the Red Sea to Saudi Arabia to go and reside there. And of course, Nigerian government seem to be somehow helpless in terms of that regard. However, the case is, the government, there's no way the Nigerian government will give them palliative that could be substantive enough for them to sit back in Nigeria and conduct their business. And again, looking at what took them to Sudan, of all places, because this is not the first time Sudan has been at war. Sudan has the Darfur War, and of course, which took a longer period before the intervention of President Olusegun Obasanjo former through Nigerian troops to calm that situation down. And again, sooner than that was down, they have issue of secession between Sudan and South Sudan, which also took a number of period of time for that to be resolved. Those who are coming out of that, they are now the fight of two generals, the fight of two titans, which of course thousands of lives have been lost and millions of people displaced. However, you are talking about what took them there. In your own, we have thousands and thousands of Nigerians outside the shores of this country to the poorest country of all nations trying to survive. What do you think must have pushed them out from the shores of Nigeria to look for succor elsewhere?
Yes. For me, what actually pushes Nigerians out of Nigeria is maladministration, bad governance. Because if you look at Sudan, the last time I checked, Sudan, that is Sudan now, I'm not talking of Southern Sudan, Sudan is the 47th out of 47 nations, the sub-Saharan nations, in terms of economy, which means, and then they carry last. And yet Nigeria is going there, because you see, it doesn't matter how you use a propaganda to convince Nigerians about what the government is doing or what the government is not doing. The people are looking at the realities. If you go to Sudan, and at the end of the day, you have opportunity to place 3 square meals on the table for your children, you can send your children to school without stress. You can now pay house rent without stress. And if for any reason you want to plot yourself the best way you can do that. Why not? You go to Sudan. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, no matter how we use propaganda to paint the economy of this nation, Many people are not able to feed themselves. Many people are not able to send their children to school. Many people are not able to pay house rent. And of course, many people are not even able to live comfortably as they should, despite whatever they may have invested in Nigeria, including education. So, therefore, Nigeria must sit down, plan, and see how they can discourage Nigeria from going abroad for whatever reasons. And for Nigeria to be able to do that, you must look at what pushes Nigerians out of this country to other places. Because if you live in Nigeria now, if for example now you're a medical doctor and you live in Nigeria, you go to some other nations and you go there, you excel as a surgeon. I have one of our doctors in the UK. He's expecting an award now that will place him on a £50,000 salary per month as a result of an award in Nigeria. So if you now see these people who are in other places who are encouraged and given some kind of motivations, but in Nigeria you don't have it, then don't expect Nigerians to sit down at home and be suffering. They will be going there. So Nigeria must sit down to see how you can make sure that the remuneration and the spread of wealth or distribution of wealth is proportionate.
Well, this is just a clear call from a million to Nigerian government to see how to sustain the economy and give an even playing ground for everyone. Not minding the corruption that has eaten us as a cancer, which have to eat very, very, very deep. That notwithstanding, he's still calling on governments to look at why Nigerian youth choose to cross this Sahara desert despite the risk of terror attack. Choose also to cross the Mediterranean seas with a plastic boat, not minding the risk of being capsized and death. Climbing mountains of Africa, not minding the risk of being devoured by wild animals. Yet, Nigerian government seem not to pay so much attention to why Nigerians are leaving Nigeria. This is Noble TV Live. Don't fail to like, subscribe, share, and get back to us. I am Chidi Peters. With me in the studio is Augustine Onilo. Thank you. Bye-bye.